So Lisa, firstly, thank you very much for letting me be your chauffeur today. Really appreciate it. We're in the fabulous new Puma Gen E.
Yes.
Tell me about this car and why is it important for Ford?
So Puma is currently the best-selling car and also the best-selling vehicle in the UK. So close run second is Transit Custom. So you never know what might happen. It's our entry-level product, and we've got a petrol version, and now this is our electric version. So it's kind of our lead-in offering and probably one of our best sellers in the UK market.
And how are people reacting to the opportunity of having an electric Puma now?
So really, really positive reaction. It's still relatively early days, but actually we've had really good order take and a really good reception from customers and dealers. So really just
Why should people go electric? What's your view?
So I think electrification, people choose it for different reasons. Our company car drivers may drive it because of the tax benefit they get from it.
Yeah.
I think some people drive it because they feel it's important to think about the environment and about air quality. But there's also a really strong business case or cost of ownership case, because if you charge at home and charge it overnight, you can make significant savings in running an electric vehicle. So I think there's lots of really great reasons. And actually, it's actually really nice to drive. So it's very quiet, it's very easy to drive, and I don't know whether you'll pick it up on the recording, but it's not an awful lot of background noise.
That's quiet.
So I think there's a lot of really good reasons to choose. I think different people choose it for different reasons.
It's a challenge getting bums on seats, isn't it? It's like there's a famous Michael McIntyre sketch where he talks about British people getting into a swimming pool, and it's all right once you're in.
Yes, it's a big dance around the edge, isn't it?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But these are all right once you're in. We'll come back to product in a minute, but just talk about you and Ford, and particularly, I mean, you've been with Ford since you left uni.
That's right.
But before that, did you have a love of Ford? You know, we always talk about the fast Fords. Are there Fords in your history?
So my dad was a really big car and bike enthusiast. Really, to be honest, probably more passionate about motorbikes than he was about cars. But there was always kind of cars and something being tinkered around in the garage. So I don't actually know very much about the technical side of things, but I'm very good at handing spanners and taking direction.
Yep.
So it was kind of a familiarity in my home, and a bit of my dad's enthusiasm maybe rubbed off a little bit. And so it seemed like when I had the chance to join Ford that it seemed like a really logical thing to do.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm not quite sure if that was true, but yes, so I joined thinking that I'd stay for a couple of years and I never left.
You never went back. Do you have a favourite old Ford?
So probably a Fiesta XR2, I think, or maybe
Pepper pot wheels?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's, I think, was probably, it kind of combined everything about fast forwards and history for me. And as a family, my aunt and uncle used to have a black Anglia 105E with mint leather interior that was a great kind of family favourite on days out. So I remember the smell of that car very vividly. So a few Fords in my...
Very Harry Potter, the Anglia, isn't it?
Yes. So that's what you think about now. But for me, I think about my aunt and uncle and days out and trips and things. So yeah.
You've seen an awful lot of change over the years. So you joined in the 90s, am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Ford potentially at its heyday. Are we seeing a new heyday? Because the changes have been huge in terms of the product lineup, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've seen, when I think back to when we made the announcement to the team that we weren't going to build Fiesta anymore, we had a little session where people were kind of sharing stories about their Fiesta history. Somebody was saying, listen, do you remember you used to have the pull choke out to start?
Yeah.
And about half of my team didn't know what a choke was, right? So when I think back to what it was like when I joined, what cars were like, the technology that we didn't have and how things have moved forward, it feels like we're in a completely different place. And now we're on the cusp of the move into electrification. It feels like the world, the industry, what we sell, how we sell it is just completely different, both for cars, but also for commercial vehicles.
And not only Ford in that sort of
yeah, I mean, everything's changed. You know, what we see in the UK market, who competes, the kind of things that people buy, the technology that's available, and actually what customers expect as well is very different. So Yeah, I think I've seen a huge amount of change that maybe you don't really think about, because as you live it every day, it's incremental. It's only when you stop and look back that you notice the massive change.
And there's lots of press, probably more press about the Fiesta going off sale than there was about the name Capri, which you won't go there because it's a great car. Who cares what it's called? But lack of Fiesta, the Focus, no longer around. Where have those customers gone? Are they all gone into Pumas and Cougars?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a big number of our Fiesta customers migrate into Puma. Really, really pleased with Puma as a small car offering. It offers great value actually in the marketplace. And in the UK and in Europe, we're seeing fewer and fewer, if you think about normal cars like Fiestas or Focus or what we had was Mondeo, and more customers migrate into that SUV styling, which is where we're migrating our product line up to. So yeah, I think we're seeing customers move.
I used to have a game I played with my kids when we were driving around wherever we would go, and I would say, oh, there's a Ford Puma going past. But the game we used to play was, there's a Ford Fiesta, Britain's best-selling car. You know, you couldn't drive far without going and seeing a Fiesta. But it used to be the case with dealers as well, and you've got far fewer dealers. How are you managing with fewer dealers and you're still selling a lot of cars? Is it a natural attrition or something you've kind of focused on?
So it's kind of been an evolution for us. A twofold evolution is, one, we've got more specialised commercial vehicle dealers in the UK. We call them transit centres. So rather than have all dealers do a little bit of commercial vehicle sales and after sales, we've got a very specialist line of vehicles, because selling a commercial vehicle and maintaining them, you need to have reasonably specialist knowledge. And then we've looked at where we need to have dealers to service communities, and we're saying that people maybe 20, 30 years ago wanted to drive 10 minutes, expected to drive 10 minutes to do their local shop or to go to, I don't know, Curry's or whatever. People are now prepared to travel a little bit further, and we're reflecting that on our dealer network.
Let's talk about the electric cars. Unsurprisingly, we're driving around Essex at the moment. There goes an Explorer. Mm-hmm. You've got seemingly overnight a full range of vehicles with Puma, Explorer, Capri, and of course the Mustang Mach-E. Now, two of those cars come as a relationship with Volkswagen, and I know we journalists focus on these things. What do customers say? Is anybody in the showrooms actually saying, well, we know this is a Volkswagen underneath? Do they care? Do they say anything?
No, I don't think we're getting any of that reaction from customers. And I think you as journalists and us as motor industry people probably think about this a bit more than actual customers, but we would say that the versions of our products, so Explorer and Capri, drive really much like a Ford. So as you get in, everything that you see and touch is very much Ford. So no, we've not really had many questions or feedback from customers.
They just don't care, or don't know, I guess, in many cases.
I think don't know or don't care.
Yeah.
Would probably be my assertion.
So what differentiates Ford these days? If I was to speak to my neighbours and they would say, should I buy a Ford? But what does Ford stand for? It used to be about driving feel and it's a people's car.
Yeah, I would still say that it's still about driving feel, and that's kind of what our teams focus really heavily on as they're building and developing product. And certainly for our electrified product, we focused on making sure that it drives really, really well, but also that it's easy to own and easy to use. And that's partly around what's available to you in your vehicles. Maybe that's partially what's available in the vehicle in terms of specification, but also it's the ownership experience and the support that we give in after sales, particularly with our commercial vehicles in terms of uptime and how we focus on keeping vehicles on the road.
One of the things Ford has done for its electric car buyers is quite innovative. I quite like it, the Ford Power Promise. So it gives people a free home charger, free miles when they're out and about. Is that going down well? Do customers like that?
Yes, it's been really well received. And I think maybe if I take a step back and think about why we did it, we know that some customers are concerned or have some reservations about the potential of moving to electric product. We wanted to think about how we could overcome those misconceptions or concerns. So charging is a really big concern for customers. So giving a free of charge home charger allows that most people most days will be able to charge, and also in many instances benefit from a really beneficial overnight charging rate. We also give some free miles away, which is great. We also know that customers are a bit concerned about running out of charge when they're out and about. So we have 5 years free servicing. Along with that is roadside recovery. So if you ever happen to run out of charge,
someone will come pick you up.
Someone will pick you up and take you to a charge point or back home to get charged up. We know customers are concerned about battery life, and there is no need to be concerned about battery life in vehicles. So we're giving an 8-year warranty, and along with that, you get the access to the Blue charging network in the Ford Pass app, which just helps you plan journeys and also manage your billing for all of your charging. So we think we've got a really good comprehensive package that helps customers feel a little bit more confident if they want to take the step into electrification.
Just takes the pain away.
Yeah.
Busts the myths. Another area that I've seen you guys lead on is autonomous driving with Blue Cruise, which is on the Mustang Mach-E.
That's right.
Are we going to see that rolled out further? What's the plans for more self-driving? Are we ever going to get to a full self-driving Ford?
So our focus very much is on how we improve driver assistance aids. We think probably that autonomous driving is a very niche sector and not necessarily going to have widespread adoption in the short to medium term. So our focus is thinking about how we improve the driver experience for every driver, not just the few who might be thinking about autonomous driving. So you'll see more things like Blue Cruise, things like some of our driver assistance technologies where we're focusing our effort at the moment.
Is there any frustration from governments, the different legislation or the speed of which Ford, for example, is allowed to implement the technology that we know is there?
So if I think about Blue Cruise, the UK government were really proactive in working with us to get approval to launch Blue Cruise in the UK. We were the first market in Europe to do it, and the UK government actually were massively supportive. But I think the whole area of autonomous driving is really challenging. And I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done before we think about widespread adoption on roads. But in the instance of Blue Cruise for us, the government was massively supportive in getting that on the road and making it live for us.
So it's a tick for the government there. And where are you on your targets of the government saying you must sell 28% of your cars should be fully electric? How far off that are you?
So we've got a plan to comply this year, but we're pressing hard against it, and it'd be great if we'd had some incentivization to help us get there.
Okay, I'm going to head away from cars now, and I remember Jim Farley, your boss, I understand, as the CEO of Ford, telling me that his favourite Ford is the Ford Transit.
Yes.
Is it yours?
Well, actually, my life started very, very early on. So one of my first jobs was as a commercial vehicle zone manager. So I was very familiar with transits, and I think the commercial vehicle business is one of the best bits of our business. And so I'm really passionate about commercial vehicles. You
spoke about Puma being #1 best-selling vehicle in the UK. Transit is not many people realise it's actually the #2 best-selling vehicle in the UK.
That's right.
That's correct?
Yes, that's right.
How far off being #1? Could it ever get there?
So it was #1 actually. 2 years successfully, it was #1 best-selling vehicle in the UK, and unfortunately Puma picked it to the post. So I've got somebody who runs the commercial vehicle business and somebody who runs the passenger car business.
Bit of competition there.
They're both fiercely competitive, and do you know what? I don't know where to put my money. I don't know where we're going to end up.
Nice position to be in, I guess.
Yes.
One of the challenges for the commercial vehicle side as well as the car business is the influx of the Far Eastern brands, particularly from China. Now, the pie isn't going to get any bigger, but they're going to want to take a slice of the pie. How are you going to sustain market share in the face of all these new challenges that are coming from the Chinese brands in particular?
I think it's about confidence in the product range that you've got. And I think we've got the newest lineup of cars and commercials that we've ever had. And it's about the level of service we deliver through our really well-established dealer network. And you kind of got to bet on yourself, haven't you? So I think we've got a strong story both in terms of our product lineup. I mean, our commercial vehicle lineup is the best it's ever been. We've got a great network of dealers to support customers, And I'd say the same on cars as well.
It's clear that Ford is in a good place under Lisa's leadership in the UK, but I always finish my interviews by asking two very important questions. Firstly, if Lisa was on her own in the car, what music would she be listening to? And the answer was clear: Bruce Springsteen, who she'd been to see recently. And then, how would she mark my driving? Well, she was impressed with my multitasking skills and gave me an 8 out of 10, which I would send straight back at her. As far as Ford is concerned at the moment, it's a very solid 8 out of 10 and rising.